Hey, what's up guys? Alex Espinoza with the Rickey Henderson of YouTube. Welcome back to another Rickey Report for Tuesday, June 4th. And it's a big day, Oakland Ballers opening day. We'll get to that in a bit, but first, let's talk about some news and quotes that came out over the weekend from the San Francisco Chronicle. John Shea of the San Francisco Chronicle talked to some financial experts about John Fischer's prospects of actually getting his ballpark vision done in Las Vegas. And, it's been a big talk the past few months of how Fischer is going to get the financing to do this thing. Of course, we heard last year that they approached Goldman Sachs about getting help with the loan. And then earlier this year, LA Times reported that they have hired an investment banker called Galiotto Sports Partners. I swear to God, I'm going to get that right. In order to look for outside investors for $500 million. But on Sunday, Shea posted this article with some quotes, including one from a sports economist named Andrew Zimbalist, who said, "I don't see this as a promising project at all. Enormous challenges are in front of the A's. And if I had to make a prediction, Las Vegas isn't going to happen." But as Neil DeMoss of Field of Schemes pointed out for Deadspin a few years ago, and that Zimbalist at one point was kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say paid off, but I guess he was kind of paid off to speak on the other side for some ballpark in Worcester for the Red Sox minor league, in Worcester, Massachusetts for a Red Sox minor league thing a while ago. But seems like Zimbalist is taking his usual stance here. And then Shea also talked to somebody named David Carter, who's a sports business professor at USC and a founder of a group called the Sports Business Group. And Carter told Shea he can get a deal done. His bankers are well respected and deeply connected, so a deal is certainly attainable. So, both sides here. We're hearing from this. And we also heard from old friend Lou Wolf, who told Shea John would not take on any activity that he was not financially capable and excited to do. "I've been involved with John and his family for decades and never encountered any endeavor that they undertook where they were not committed and capable of implementing." And it reminds me of that picture, I think it's Keith Wolf, I think it was Lou's son, who was at Fremont in 2006 when they had the press conference about the Cisco Field that never happened. Oh man. Don't forget, Fremont, San Jose, Oakland a couple times. But now it's on to Vegas, right? So ultimately, I think this is, it's worth noting that this is just more speculation. Like, these people are way more just educated about this topic, but they're not, as far as we know, they're not informed, They don't have access to Fischer's books or how far he's got as far as looking for loans or where they are with outside investors. At this point, we're all kind of speculating. But I thought it was interesting to hear from both sides. And because it's been a really, we're all trying to figure out how Fischer's going to pay for this thing. On July 18th, the Las Vegas Stadium Authority is going to be holding their next meeting. And Steve Hill recently said he thinks it's pretty likely that the A's will have some sort of drafted development agreement that lays out the financial details. So, but it's been a nice week for John Fischer financially, that's for sure. I wish I had a job where I made $400 or $500 million in a week, because that's pretty much what happened to him. So last week I took some screenshots of John Fischer. I believe it was on Tuesday, May 28th. And he was worth about $2.9 billion. And then as of closing on Monday, he is now worth about $3.3 billion. And it even scraped up to $3.4 billion at one point on Monday, because Gap stock has been absolutely soaring since last week when the company announced that they had a really good Q1, a good first quarter. And it sounds like they beat a lot of expectations and market comparisons. So CNBC shared some comments from Gap CEO Richard Dixon. His name is Dick Dixon, I swear to God. But I guess he's been killing it since he got hired last August to be their new CEO. And he said, "This is the first time that all four brands have reflected positive comps in many years. In fact, we were sort of looking for when they had, and it was difficult to find." So thanks to CNBC for sharing those numbers. If you're interested, from Old Navy, Banana Republic, Athleta, and Gap. Those are like the four clothing brands that are trading under the stock price, I believe, or at the stock ticker. And yeah, so it looks like the Fischer family made a lot of money this weekend. And I'm no financial expert, but I was looking at some SEC filings, something called a Schedule 13D, which kind of lays out, it's something for just for investors, for companies to lay out for their investors, kind of like who's holding what and who can trade what and everything like that. So according to this SEC filing from last year, Fischer has 78 million stock shares from Gap. So 78 million at about $29, which it is now, and I think he has about $2.26 billion in Gap stock that he has sole decision-making power. Just reading this filing that's publicly viewable, he has about 51 million shares for himself with sole dispositive power. I hope I'm saying that right. Again, I'm a little bit out of my depths here, but then 27 million are in a Delaware LLC, which is and he's a sole manager and a member of that LLC, and I think it's just a rich man's trick to get around taxes and protect your personal assets, from what I can understand. So even though he has these 78 million shares, it's not like I think he's going to just up and sell them all tomorrow so he can build a stadium. And also, I'm assuming that would just completely tank the stock if he was to sell. I believe he has around 23% of the entire company between himself and the LLC with these shares that are publicly outstanding. So how much will Fischer pony up for this investment? The last we heard, they were looking for $500 million in investing, maybe, as Fischer and the A's reiterated in a statement to John Shea, that John Fischer has publicly expressed his interest in bringing in partners to foster community connections in Las Vegas and Nevada. He has also indicated that he and his family are prepared to finance all required equity for the new ballpark, enabling the project to proceed with or without new partners. And then they go on to say that exploring options and bringing on investors are common practices in the construction of sports stadiums. The Golden State Warriors and San Francisco Giants are two great examples of this. So I think the Fischers are trying to say, we can pay for this whole thing if we want, but we're looking for $500 million as well. Remember, his mom, Doris, and his brothers also own a bunch of stock in Gap, so they could totally help him out here. That makes sense. But I also thought it was interesting to share this. It sounds like Fischer and Cavill are not making great inroads in Las Vegas, and they might be having trouble finding financial support out there. And I just want to share some comments from D, who said he was talking. This A's fan, D, of course, is a Bay Area commercial real estate. He works with commercial real estate. He's a Bay Area A's fan, but every year he goes to Las Vegas for developers conferences and real estate conferences, and he brings back some interesting nuggets. And he recently shared this on Twitter, a quote from a real estate developer who's been approached by Fischer and Cavill down in Vegas. And this is the quote in a text message that D got. He said, "Sure, they can spend $1 billion of their own money, but Fischer and Cavill have cemented their reputation as shady crooks here in Vegas." And D also shared this earlier from a couple of weeks ago. He said he met one of Fischer's lobbyists and a county official, and they think it opens by 2029, worst case scenario. But developers and financiers are a little bit more skeptical this happens by 2028. They're skeptical it ever happens, and more skeptical it happens by 28. And it sounds like nobody thinks this thing is coming in at $1.5 billion. So I think, with a price tag of maybe, let's call it $1.8 billion, you take off the $380 million from public funding, still leaves about $1.4-ish billion that I think Fischer and his family are looking for. So maybe they have enough to make that happen, and in July they'll announce the development agreement. But for now, it looks like they're still looking for money, and you would think that if they had a plan, they would have announced something. But for now, that the LA Times story only came out, I believe, on April 29th. So it's only been a few weeks, and I'm assuming that they still haven't found anything there. And we haven't heard about any progress with Goldman Sachs. So for now, we're just kind of waiting to see what happens. And there was also, I believe, at the last Stadium Authority meeting, they were saying if they don't meet in August, they'll have to meet again in September. So it might just be, if we don't hear it in July, we might hear it in September. But again, the Tropicana Towers are going down in October, and the A's are hoping to start building on 2025 to meet their goal of a 2028 opening day. So, but for now, it doesn't really seem like they have much beyond the $380 million in public funding. And again, I believe in 2025 is going to get the final approval from the Clark County municipal bonds. I believe that's 120 of that 180 million, or that 120 million of that 380 million that the A's are, have got from SB1. So for now, it doesn't seem like they have much beyond SB1, the $380 million in public funding. They don't have a finalized location. They don't have finalized financing. They don't even have a finalized ballpark plan, really, because we don't know how it's going to play out with the casino, or if there's going to be a casino attached to this 35-acre lot as Bally's figures out all of its, financial problems as well, because they're going deep into debt trying to put up something in Chicago as well. So a lot of unfinalized things here, but Alan Snell of LV Sports Biz is reporting that Las Vegas casino gaming executive Tony Marnell is working on the site. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with his Armadillo Dome and see if they ever get it done. But for now, we're just going to be waiting until July 18th and see if they do it. But yeah, so Fischer's got a lot more money in gap stock. And I don't think he's going to unload it, but hey, he's got more monies. Maybe lenders are going to be happy about that, and maybe they'll bring him some terms that he'll agree to, that he'll like. So we'll see how it all plays out. And speaking of Las Vegas, Snell, also of LV Sports Biz, also shared another recent story about the Las Vegas ballpark. Former writer for Athletics Nation and a lawyer named Jeremy F. Koo has written a letter to the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, and he will be at the meeting in July. And here is a look at the letter that Koo wrote to the Stadium Authority. And the big thing is that he noticed he was reading the non-relocation agreement that was presented to the Stadium Authority recently, and he said that he noticed that there's actually a clause in there that says 7 games can be played outside of Vegas, and up to 7 games, not built in that they're only going to have 74 home games, but up to 7 games could be out. And Snell got comment from Koo, who told him this number of games far exceeds that permitted in non-location agreements for new stadiums over the last 15 years. It is far more than the 1 to 3 games the MLB historically asked the teams to forego for international and domestic special events with compensation to the team from the commissioner's office. So basically that's kind of saying like the A's, they used to always open the season in Japan, or I think the Giants played in Mexico last year. So there's these international events, maybe like a series, like an international series, so 3 games abroad. But 7 seems kind of high. That's enough for like 2 series. And also you would have to think, I don't think they're going to play 7 games away from home every year, but if you did for 30 years, that's 210 home dates. You're basically, wiping out, 3, almost, 2 2 2/3 seasons worth of games, off the docket over 30 years. So, because the A's initially, Jeremy Aguero, for the record, Jeremy Aguero in Applied Analysis were projecting that the A's would draw, in the stadium through the A's and other events, would draw about 2.6 million visitors, which was basically like a sellout every game for 30 years. And, 7 of those 81 games, or even if 3 of those 81 games, that would be about 90,000 of, say it was 30,000 people every game, that'd be, 90,000 to 210,000 people every year going out. So, of course, this is just a clause saying that they just want to have this flexibility. It's not saying by any means that there's a minimum games that they're going to miss or anything. I actually recorded most of this Monday night, but on Tuesday morning there was an update from the Nevada Independent. As Howard Stutz reported, the A's are actually requesting to play up to 8 different games, and the Las Vegas Stadium Authority Chairman Steve Hill acknowledged that, for every game that's missed, that will probably undercut the bonds. So, as Jeremy Koo noted, it seems like the A's have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of Vegas already, and Dave Kaval said that the idea of including 8 games was to have flexibility, but also to put an absolute limit on the games that on how many games could be played. We know in most years it could be way less. But of course, Jeremy Aguero said that the stadium can just be repurposed for something else, so no worries. It's not, they're not even leaving. I think, I don't know how this would really affect anything going forward. I mean, if anything, it might have affected the projections that Jeremy Aguero presented us. Maybe it'll affect the Clark County municipal bonds in 2025. But for now, I don't know if there's much effect that this will have on SB1. It's already passed. So, and schools over stadiums, their effort to get this on the referendum was kind of squashed for the next year's ballot. So I think really it's pretty much the same. Maybe this information will still be relevant in 2025 when they vote on Clark County bonds, but I assume by then the whole situation will be completely different. So we'll just put this in our back pocket for now, but it was an interesting observation for Jeremy Koo here. And back to the Coliseum. Country star Zach Bryan had a huge concert at the Coliseum on Friday night. Former A's fan, this Charmin Ham, shared this cool video from the ground level of the Coliseum, the field level, and you can see Bryan and his band playing near home plate, and they put up like a massive screen behind Mount Davis. Here's the video. Check it out. Also, you might have heard him say San Francisco, but don't worry. Supposedly, he was shouting at Oakland all night. This Charmin Ham made sure that people knew that he was giving Oakland a lot of love all night. He knew it was in Oakland and it wasn't in San Francisco. It was just 45 seconds of like a 2 or 3 hour concert, people. So, but I can't remember ever seeing an in-season stadium concert setup like this. I mean, they were playing at home plate and like shit's all over the infield. Check out this photo from somebody called Pendejo or Pendejo. I think it's Pendejo with the knee, I don't know. But anyway, check out the setup at the Coliseum. And I mean, shit is everywhere. And yeah, I don't know. So this is on Friday, and then they got Saturday, Sunday, Monday to recover, and Tuesday night to host a game. So, whew, Clay Wood and the grounds crew has their work cut out for them this weekend. Good luck to the boys. That's going to be, I'm really curious to see what the field's going to look like. I mean, Tuesday night, I'm actually going to be at the Ballers, Raimondi Park for their opening night. But when I get home or while I'm on Twitter, I wonder if there's going to be complaints about the shape of the field because, I mean, of course, we used to see this every September when the Raiders would start playing and center field would just turn into a piece of shit. But damn, it's only June 3rd, so it's going to be a lot of groundwork, you know. AESCG is probably pretty happy to see this video, I mean, and know that the Coliseum can still be an entertainment venue that can draw, 30,000 plus or however big it was. And AESCG, of course, is trying to buy the A's half of the Coliseum. And last we heard from Casey Pratt, the A's are probably seeking around $125 million, even though AESCG recently bought the city's half of Oakland for at least $105 million. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that negotiation. But AESCG's got to be happy. But also, this kind of I thought this was really cool. Just kind of see, maybe we kind of got a glimpse into the future and the past of the Coliseum as an entertainment venue. I've never been to a huge concert like this at the Coliseum before. But, I've always heard about the Day on the Green, the epic concerts that, from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s that Bill Graham put on, the Day on the Green concerts. And, epic acts like Pink Floyd, Grateful Dead, Beach Boys, the band, Led Zeppelin, Lynyrd Skynyrd, The Who, Metallica, like you name them. Zeppelin played some of their final shows here in 1997. Check out some video here. I mean, look how many people were there. This thing was this was nuts. The Coliseum used to be, I mean, man, really, really epic. So, I mean, I don't think it'll ever achieve that former glory. Of course, you know, those videos are 45 years old now and standards have gone up. But, you know, we're like still the same human beings. How come that was cool back in the 70s, but now people are complaining, this place is a piece of shit. I don't know. People still go to the bathroom. People still use the troughs. What happened? Why are we so bougie in the 2020s? So, I mean, I don't think there's any rock concerts that could ever acts that would fill up, you know, the stadium like that again. But they really got to bring back Day on the Green. That is pretty freaking cool. Just seeing all this old footage and videos, and like Monsters of Rock, 1979 with AC/DC. I mean, really cool stuff here. So, anyways, they also going to have the field open on Friday for fireworks. So, yikes! By Saturday, this field is going to be hurting. So, good luck to Clay Wood and his grounds crew. And speaking of the Ballers, yes, I'll be at all opening day tonight or this evening. Yeah, so the tailgate starts at 3:30 at the 16th Street Tower. It's kind of like near 18th Street and Wood. A couple blocks away from Raimondi Park. The Oakland 68s are going to be starting their tailgate at 3:30, 3 hours before the game at 6:30. And there's also going to be a shuttle starting at 3:30 going from West Oakland Bar to the stadium every 20 minutes. Probably just going to go back and forth. So and there's AC Transit buses going to Raimondi Park too. Just check it out. The Ballers have put out some information about how to get there. And I believe they have about 1,000 parking spots available around the stadium as well. So the first pitch is at 6:35 tonight. The A's is also at 6:40. I wonder who's going to draw more fans. The Ballers have sold out with 4,000 seats. And maybe the A's will not get 4,000 seats while the Mariners are in town. And on Monday, the Ballers shared some videos and photos of, you know, the finishing touches being put down. And Susan Slusser also paid a visit from the San Francisco Chronicle, and wrote that they were doing a bunch of wiring and doing the last finishing touches. They just brought in the press box this weekend. And then Gamer Athletics, Gabe Hernandez, who was on the pod a couple episodes ago, shared some really cool photos from Raimondi Park, along with Hal, the hot dog man, Hal Gordon, who shared this cool photo of the field at nighttime with the green hue. Doing wiring for the video board. Check it out. The video board is up there. Get all those dingers, because there's going to be a lot of dingers and a lot of runs. I mean, they were just in a wild series against the Rocky Mountain Vibes in Colorado Springs. And shout out to the Oakland 68s, the fan supporters group, who were out there. I mean, the schedule actually worked out really cool for them this past weekend. They got to see the Oakland Roots play, the Colorado Switchbacks in Colorado Springs, and then they got to see the Oakland Ballers play the Rocky Mountain Vibes. And Cassandra Wilson was out there with the 68s, and it sounds like the Rocky Mountain Vibes fans were way more fun than the Switchbacks fans. But I just think it's really cool that they were out there. It's probably the Ballers' first time seeing fans wearing their gear out there. I mean, this was the end of their second road trip. They had 6 games in Montana, and then they had 6 games in Colorado, and now they'll be back home for 12 games starting tonight. And then, of course, they'll be hosting the YOLO High Wheelers this week. Then they're hosting the Rocky Mountain Vibes next week. And, they had a 8-run comeback on Saturday. And then they won on Sunday to take 5 out of 6 against the Vibes. So they come back home with a 7-5 record. And, so that'll be really fun. I can't wait to be out there. And if you want more information about the Pioneer League and everything, I did a whole season preview, did a whole episode about 30-minute episode about the Ballers and the league and everything. Make sure to check that out. And there's also some player previews on there, and the information's still pretty relevant. I went through most of the starting lineup and talked about Kelsey Whitmore as well. So make sure to go check out that video. And also our most recent podcast was with Brian Carmel, one of the co-founders of the Oakland Ballers. Make sure to go check that out, the Rickey Henderson podcast. And last but not least, we got to talk about the Oakland A's. It's funny, it's like I started this whole thing because the A's were a baseball team. Now it's just we're talking about the stadium, the Ballers. It's just all different now. So the A's dropped 2 out of 3 in Atlanta, but Saturday was a really cool, wild game. One of the most entertaining games of the year. They won 11-9. It was back and forth. They were up 8-3, and then the Matt Olson and the Braves came back, but then the A's won 11-9. Max Schumann and Miguel Andujar both had 4-hit days. Brent Rooker had a homer and a dinger, drove in 4 RBIs. Just driving that trade value up, isn't he? And our old friend Sean Murphy also had a back-breaking hit in Sunday's 3-1 loss. And speaking of Sean Murphy, let's revisit that trade, because this weekend the A's waived oft-injured right-handed pitcher Freddie Tarnok, who was designated for assignment, and picked up by the Philadelphia Phillies. So good for Tarnok getting out of the A's, going to the best team in the National League. So as Carl Buschek of A's Unleashed noted, the Murphy trade has not exactly worked out. Tarnok was waived. Manny Pena was this veteran catcher who never really got a fair shake. He was DFA'd. Roy Salinas is on the injured list in AAA. Kyle Muller's on the injured list. He's been a pretty solid long reliever. And S.J. Ruiz looked really good last year, leading the league in stolen bases, but he's on the injured list and kind of in the doghouse, as it appears, with the A's, or they're manipulating his service time. Either way, as Carl notes, it seems like he's a persona non grata. So Tarnok was dealing with inflammation in his right hip, and that had him on the DL, on the injured list, and he actually was on the 60-day injured list, and he was rehabbing, but he had a 13.5 ERA and 7.1 innings of work, and he was injured a lot. I think he only pitched like 22 innings last year, and yeah, I mean, he's only 25, but he was a number 13 prospect, but the A's shipped him out. They also DFA'd Aaron Brooks, who was in their rotation, as Luis Medina came up this weekend. But yeah, that trade is not looking great right now. I mean, for the fire sale that the A's had in 2022, they really don't have much to show for it right now. And in Murphy's first year with the Braves last year, he had 21 dingers with 68 RBIs and was an all-star. And Murph and the Braves have also agreed to a 6-year, $73 million contract, so he's part of that veteran core that's going to be together for the next few years. But hey, the A's will be back tonight if you want to go see them. They'll be home for a 6-game homestand, starting with 3 against the Mariners, and they'll host the Blue Jays for 3. So you can go see your boy, Chris Bassett. Make sure you like. So that's it for this Rickey Report. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you at the Ballers tonight, as Hal is back, and hopefully me and Hal can find some time to do some in-person potting this week. That would be pretty cool. It's going to be a busy week. I mean, we got Reverse Boycott on Friday, then 68s on Saturday with the Oakland Ballers at 1 o'clock, Oakland Soul at 4 o'clock, and Oakland Roots at 7 o'clock, with the Roots and the Soul, of course, playing in Hayward, and the Ballers playing at Raimondi Park. So, hope to see you at Raimondi Park tonight. See you at the Coliseum on Friday. Make sure to like and subscribe, and to use the promo code RickeyBlog for 10% off at Last Dive Bar. Help your boy out. Use that referral link down below. All right. Have a good week. Hope to see y'all around Oakland.